Welcome to Corrections Mama 27 channel. So this is the third video on disciplinary rules and procedures for inmates for Texas. We're on level 3 offenses. And after I'm done with this, there's other things we'll talk about, like the paperwork. The paperwork you receive, whether you're guilty or not, things like that. And then we'll talk about the procedures. Who's allowed to do and decide whether you're guilty or not, the preponderance of evidence, and how the hearings work, and if you're allowed witnesses, and all of that stuff. So, but right now we're working on level 3 offenses. The third level of offenses is minor infractions. 31 is mutilation, physical injury to an inmate's body that is self-inflicted or inflicted by others with the inmate's permission, or assisting another inmate in mutilating him or herself. 32, failing or refusing to respond to an officer's question. Self-explanatory. 33, lying to an officer. 34, use of tattooing paraphernalia. 35, unauthorized storage of property in an unauthorized manner, as outlined in Administrative Directive 03.72, Guidelines for Inmate Personal Property, is confiscation and disposal of contraband. 36, in living quarters without permission. So that's kind of like a lesser charge of out of place. So if you're in your living quarters and you're not supposed to be there, you're supposed to be somewhere else, then you can get a ticket. 37, soliciting money or gifts from an officer or an inmate or another person for the benefit of an inmate. No soliciting. And 38 says deleted, which means they took that rule out. 39, unauthorized piddling. I've never written that ticket before. So I guess if you're piddling and you're, what does piddling mean? We're going to look that up. I mean, piddling means fiddling around, right? Like slow playing, BCSing. So you can waste time. Piddling definition. I mean, I think I know what piddling is, but the whole idea of piddling is to kill time, but without any great effort at all, or even really meaning to. If one piddles correctly, time just goes away without regret on the part of the piddler, or even any particular notice. Yeah, that's what I said. Slow playing. Bullshitting around. Abusive treatment of an animal, including carnal relations with an animal. That's only a level 3 if you're having sex with an animal? Ugh. Gross. Creating unnecessary noise. That would be a lesser charge of disturbance, I suppose. Maybe if you just want to make a point, but you don't want to slam them, you know. Use of indecent or vulgar language or indecent vulgar gestures in the presence of or directed at an employee or any person who provides professional services to inmates on behalf of TDCJ. Yeah, so you can't give me the bird. And, you know, inmates generally in Texas never said disrespectful things like that to your face. I mean, it happened occasionally to me, but it didn't happen very often. 43, exerting any authority over another inmate. I have a couple of these highlighted. That one is highlighted because I would see that a lot. Administering any punishment or other form of discipline for inmates. Yeah, so the stuff gangs do to punish other inmates, not allowed. Granting or denying another inmate access to any benefit or activity. So these are A, B, and this is C for 43, which is exerting any authority over an inmate. C is controlling the movement or activities of another inmate. D is escorting another inmate from one place to another with or without staff member except as required by a bona fide emergency. See that in Arizona all the time. Inmates would keep another inmate with them as a witness to talk to you, and that crap did not fly in Texas. Yeah, I had culture shock in Texas because Arizona allowed all kinds of crazy shit that used to tick me off. G, participating in the talking of any count, provided, however, that a clerk may record the turnout for the field officer. So, if I'm doing count and they're in the field, the inmates are out in the field, there's no talking when we're doing count. You line up in order. I always did it like I did this sort of thing in the Sally Port. We had a roster of inmates that were supposed to be working, and I would have the inmates line up in order according to the roster. I think it was alphabetical order. That way, it made it easier for me to count. I didn't have to go all over the page. It just made count faster and easier. And trust me, if you tell them to line up in order according to the paper, they usually know and they do it. Why make your job harder on yourself? Make the inmates line up in order so you can get it done. It's better for everybody because then you're done and then count clears and they can go and you don't get confused. Nothing crazy happens. Mailing or distributing another, F is mailing or distributing another inmate's correspondence. So in Arizona, they did that all the time. But in Texas, they're not allowed to do that. Wait. Okay, here's one I skipped. E. Inventorying with or without a staff member, another inmate's property, or searching another inmate's living area or his property. Okay, inmates aren't allowed to rifle through other inmates' property, and they're definitely not allowed to do an inventory. H. Enforcing institutional division rules or regulations, except that it shall not be a violation of this rule to be an officer of an authorized inmate organization. So basically, you can't be nosy-nelly telling people follow the rules of DLC or TDC, you know. I is regularly performing the functions of a support service inmate without formal assignment to an SSI job. So let me explain to those of you who don't know what an SSI job. An SSI job is like a porter that would help out inmates that are disabled. If you wanted that job, you would have to put in for it and ask for it. So that's like pushing around somebody in a wheelchair, taking care of somebody that has a disability that needs help. And then that would be their job. 44. Safety regulations. A. Failing to wear safety goggles when performing any grinding, chiseling, filing, chipping, or buffing operation. So if you don't wear safety goggles and you get something in your eye and you want to sue the state, you're going to get a ticket and you are breaking the rules. trust me, you'll get a ticket, even if you're injured, because that's going to protect them from the lawsuit. B, failing to wear hearing protection on all workstations designated as a high noise level areas. Same thing. C, failing to wear work or safety shoes when required to do so. D, continuing to work in an area or machinery or equipment that is deemed unsafe or improperly guarded by the work supervisor or safety officer. Operating machines or equipment or performing any operation that has not been specifically assigned. So if you're at the workplace and you volunteer yourself to do another job that you weren't told to do, you're going to get a ticket. Unauthorized fabrication or repairing of personal items using state equipment. Okay, that would be altering your own stuff, which is contraband. And you certainly shouldn't be using state equipment to do so. Riding on the drawbars of farm vehicles. So you shouldn't be riding on the drawbars because it's dangerous. Somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to fall on purpose and try to sue the state. I is standing up while riding in moving vehicles or allowing legs to hang over the sides of the trailers while moving. So this is mostly the outside hose squads and things like that. No, I didn't make it up. A hose squad is the inmate. That's what we called them. There was no demeaning meaning about it, I think. I don't know, but that's what we called them. And they would have hula hose and be out in the farm and manually maintaining the gardens and the ranch and the vegetables that they were growing. J is failing to fasten a seat belt when operating equipment in which seat belts have been installed. K, riding as a passenger on a tractor or forklift. Again, dangerous. Obviously, somebody had done this, and they tried to sue the state, and they made a rule about it. L, operating any vehicle in an unsafe manner. Yes, inmates, if they have a valid driver's license and they don't have a charge like vehicular manslaughter or, a high-speed chase or any kind of, if a vehicle wasn't involved in that and they were a lower custody inmate, then they're allowed to, some of them are allowed to and assigned to operate vehicles and farm equipment and stuff like that. M, wearing unauthorized clothing when operating machinery. Some machinery you don't want to be wearing loose clothing because it could get caught up and ground up into the machine. And not reporting safety hazards to the job supervisor. So if you know that something's unsafe and you don't report it, you get a ticket. Also, some of these rules also, they have rules like this in their policies for staff. O is failing to report job-related injury to a supervisor. 45 is violation of a written or posted TDCJ rule not contained in these rules, but consistent with these rules. So anything that's posted, you have to follow those rules. So those are all the minor infractions, and that's the end of the infractions. And we'll start going into the details of the disciplinary procedures and how the hearings are run and what you can and can't do. So that's good to know if you're an inmate or if you're going to be an inmate or if you're an inmate's family or if you never plan on going to jail or prison, then it might be just interesting to know, right? How these procedures go. But it's good for family members to know, so when your family member is writing you or calling you about these issues they're having, you can have a better understanding of how it all works. So that's it. That's the end of that video. And we'll continue until we're done with this book with some, you know, shorter videos about this stuff. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please watch the videos through if you can. I need more video hours. I need more watch hours. So appreciate it. Have a great day.